Hello, everybody. I'm Johnny Robertson. Glad you're with us here for this edition of Lights Out. Coming up, it's Championship Crew Chief Jeff Hammond and also veteran broadcaster Doug Rice. Now, if you're watching the Cup race from Nashville, you probably took away a couple of questions. First of all, late in the race, there was a situation where Kyle Busch appeared as if he got caught up in a wreck and was relegated to the back of the field. When they went to the restart, Kyle Busch was back up in the fourth position. It looked strange at the time to just about anybody. How did he get back up there? But folks, the reason he was back up there was not because NASCAR wanted Kyle Busch to win. The reason he was back up there was because NASCAR resets the grid from a timing loop when the yellow is displayed. The yellow came out earlier. Kyle got in the back of another car. The rest of the cars went by, but they reverted back to that scoring loop. So that was absolutely a legal and reasonable move. There was nothing bad behind the scenes on that. And also, a lot of people have said, since there were so many green-white checker restarts, when does it end and how many cars do you lose? The reason, folks, you can't really say we're only going to do 3 or 4 or even 5 and put a limit on that. What would stop a driver from therefore purposely bringing out the caution to maintain his finishing position there? Therefore, if you're going to do a green-white checker finish and you want to have the fans see it end under green, it's the best effort we have going on right now. And I believe the thing they added in that's the best thing to ensure a good finish is when the leader takes that white flag, the next one ends the race. It's a pretty good system right now, and I don't see any tweaks we should make to that one. There's tweaks other ways you could help a race finish out, but not in terms of limiting the number of green-white checker finishes. And now, want to welcome in veteran broadcaster and dear friend Doug Rice. Doug, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you on the program. As you start and get into this final lap of your career, how gratifying has it been for you to know what people think about you and the job you've done over the years? How has it been so far?
Well, it's simply been awesome, John. I can't express my gratitude enough. Twofold. One, for what Speedway Motorsports has done in an official capacity, letting me give the command at Atlanta, wave the green flag at Bristol, drive the pace car at Charlotte. Some other places have recognized me by putting in their Hall of Fame and Wall of Fame. This past weekend at Nashville, I got my very own Les Paul Gibson guitar that was made just for me. I only wish I could play the thing. So all of that has been wonderful. That has been great. Even Motor Racing Network let me come over and call a few laps of the Daytona 500 because they knew that's something I always wanted to do. And they said, we'll check this box for you. But the best part of it has been like when I come out to see you guys on the stage at Nashville and I run into fans and they just come up and they say, thank you. Thank you for your years of doing this. We appreciate you. I listened to you with my dad in the bass boat 25 years ago. You've been one of my soundtracks for NASCAR for a long time. I feel like I know you and I've never met you. That's the best part. I'm not making that up. It just warms me when people come up and say, you've been a part of my enjoying NASCAR for 3 decades.
Doug, how did you know it was time to retire? How did you know it was time to hang it up?
It's kind of innate. It's like, when geese know to fly north. I just knew it. I just felt like, okay, I'm going to be 70 my next birthday. Not that that really means anything, but I've done this now for 36 years in this capacity at PRN. That's a big thing these days when people don't stay in jobs very long. And I thought there's more I want to do in life than just chase stock cars. Penny, my wife, and I we want to do other things. And you can't do that if 35 or 40% of your year is already locked down doing racing. So I love my job. I enjoy race day a lot. I don't like to travel. I don't know anybody that does, but it just felt like time. Just something instinctively told me that it was time to move on to do something else.
Yeah, and sometimes, Doug, it's hard to explain to people. We're pretty blessed. We're pretty honored to be able to be involved with NASCAR and to have the jobs that we have. But there is a little bit of the downside to it. Like you said, you have to focus. You have to be all in all the time. And there's travel involved. And that just kind of wears on anybody.
Well, it does. I mean that it is. There is nothing glamorous about jumping on the next airplane and flying across the country to be away from home for 3 days or 4 days, whatever the case may be. I've never regretted 1 minute at the racetrack doing the thing that I love to do, and that God blessed me with a little bit of talent to do that. So I have really enjoyed that. But I also realize that for 25 years or more, my wife sat at home while I traveled, because people that's the number one thing I get asked. Does your wife go with you on the road? No. It's not vacation when I go to Fort Worth to do the race. You're at the hotel, the routine. You're at the airport, you're at the hotel, you're at the racetrack, you're back at the hotel, you're back at the racetrack, then you're on a plane again. So that's probably not been really fair to her either. But I love the job. I love communicating with people. I can't emphasize that enough. Every race I do is a new adventure and something I truly enjoy.
And Doug, our sport is a beast in and of itself, because it's the only professional sport where everybody competes at the same venue week in and week out. So it becomes a little bit of a traveling circus. But man, over 36 years for you and the rest of us who have been around maybe a little bit longer than we care to admit, it's the personal relationships, isn't it?
It's a big part of that. I have great relationships with the people on my team, on the PRN team, and some of the folks that work at our different racetracks. Sorry about that. And that means a lot to me. That means everything in the world to me. But your relationships at home with your family should come first. But I'm as close. Most of my closest friends are people that I work with on the road. Folks like Brad Gilley and Jerry Horn and Alexis Erickson and Harold Hamrick, and people that I've spent the better part of the last 30 years with, and Mark Garrow. Mark Garrow and I and Harold Hamrick have been locked together at PRN since day one, since I got hired.
Yeah, and man, just thinking back to some of those things, Doug, I want to say a personal thanks to you for a couple different things. First of all, for the job you've done over the years, helping promote the sport and helping to bring it to the fans. But also, personally, when I was a young man a long time ago in this business, I just wanted to say thank you for the guidance, the friendship, and the support you've given me personally.
Well, you're very welcome, John, and you've paid off any investment I ever made in you a long time ago. You've had a very successful career. I like your approach to things. I truly believe the way you look at this business and I look at it are not that far apart. I've always felt like there's a huge entertainment element in what we do, and I feel like when people listen, I'm not trying to do stand up on the radio, but I also don't. I realize we're not signing the Paris Peace Accords here.
True.
We're not doing huge things to make the world better. We're covering a sporting event that people love. And if we can be a little bit entertaining along the way, then I like that too. So I hope people appreciate that. I'm not stoic about when I broadcast. If I want to go down the humor road, I'm not afraid to do that. You have to know where the line is. You can't go past that line, but you got to know where the line is.
Doug, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the time you have on the air, and I hope you have a wonderful time afterwards.
I will, John. And let me just reiterate, I so much appreciate the fans and their response. What SMI has done for me has been nothing short of miraculous. I didn't ask for it, but I'll take it. But the fans, when I get to meet them and they express gratitude and a little bit of love, that means everything in the world.
Well deserved, brother.
Thank you, man.
Hey, want to welcome into the show our good friend and championship crew chief, Jeff Hammond. Jeff, so great to see you, brother. Hey, catch us all up on right now. We've been following you by way of social media, but you've been working real hard with Spencer Boyd and this truck team. How are things going, man? What's that whole team all about, and how are you guys doing?
We're making good strides, making a lot of progress here at the 76 team for Freedom Racing. If you look over my shoulder, let's see, yeah, that way right there. You see Spencer. See, I'm gonna share Spencer. I'm gonna share Spencer with you. How about that?
Spencer. Hey. That's awesome.
Yeah, We've been making some adjustments all throughout the season and feel like we're starting to get stronger and stronger. Latest addition we made with the organization, and if you were familiar early on, I was the general manager. Well, we had another crew chief at that time. First 3 races didn't quite work out like we wanted it to. So we made a change. I got stuck doing the GM as well as crew chief role. And we've been looking for somebody to come in that could really help accelerate the program. And we found that a couple of weeks ago in the form of Mike Hillman Jr., champion, Truck Series crew chief. I think that Todd Bodine will speak very highly of him. And the good thing about it is Mike is coming here. First race was at Nashville, qualified well, ran good all night long. It's just again, we're making baby steps, but they're really are coming faster and faster. And I'm really excited about the fact that Mike's here. I think Spencer and he have, I think you like him better than you do me.
Come on.
But no, we've got a great chemistry here. And, between Rick and Ryan and Robbie and JP and Paul, which is, Spencer's dad, Amanda, which is his fiance. We just got a really good family thing going here. And we always laugh about it. I've been with a lot of big teams in my career, but right now in our 2,000 square foot garage, we've got 4 unbelievable trucks, and we're going to be kicking some butt the final 10 races of the regular season.
Yeah, and again, Jeff, don't take this too far, but sometimes bigger isn't necessarily better in a lot of things. But we'll just leave it at that. Hey, Jeff, I know the competition bug never got away from you. Obviously, that you want to be in this thing and you want to be involved in the competition side of things. But we've been with a lot of our guests here on Lights Out. We've been looking back at some of the TV times and some of the great times we really had. You were a part of the beginning of Fox Sports and Speed TV. Do you look back on those days and smile like a lot of us do?
I do. It's funny that earlier today, believe it or not, Spencer and I were sitting here and we were talking about, what it was like to be a part of the beginning of the Fox Fox TV deal. And I was very lucky that I was working for Jack Roush at the time when I made that jump to television. And he always told me, he said, hey, Jeff, if it doesn't work, come back. I'll find a place for you here in my organization. And I love that man to death and got so much respect for him. But yes, it was, John, I mean, again, you and I have known each other, throughout TV time, and we shared a lot of laughs. And don't you dare tell that story that I know you like to tell. We don't have time for it. Okay.
We don't.
But no, it's so many great people from having an opportunity to work with Chris Myers and Mike Joy, Larry Mack, DW, from not just the crew chief role, but in television and all the people behind the scene. So many good people, so many great memories. It's almost scary. I mean, it's like I lived 2 lives. I mean, you run up down the road being a crew chief for all those years, and then you turn right around and you run up down the road talking about the sport and seeing it from a totally different view and realizing the importance and it's the role that we play. And you know this to be true, John, is the fact that we are the go-between between what's going on in a lot of people's lives and the life that we live out on the road around all the race competitors. So, we're able to share the personality somewhat that a lot of people don't get a chance to do.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not going to tell the one story you think I'm going to tell, but I am going to tell another story about Jeff, because I thought about this the other day. We're at Talladega, and it's about hotter than blazes, right? So I have to pit, if you will. And so, when you're standing in the porta potty, you can see that there's a little vent, you can see out. So I'm looking out in the vent, and here comes a running Jeff Hammond towards the porta potty. And he has an aluminum light stand in his hand. And Jeff proceeded to prop the aluminum light stand in between the handle of the porta potty and the ground. So I was stuck in there for a little while. Do you remember this, Jeff?
Oh, I don't. I think that you were having, the heat got to you and you were misinformed and could not see correctly, because I would do
True
anything
story.
like that to my friend, not my dear friend John Roberts. No way in the world would I. You must have been confusing me for your dear friend Kenny Wallace. I mean, Kenny would do something like that and then
Probably.
laugh
Yeah, I
about
could
it.
have heard him coming a mile
Yeah.
away. Hey, so Jeff, one of the coolest things I think we've seen over the years in the evolution of NASCAR and the Three Top Series, I've always loved the Truck Series, got to work with it a lot in the early days, but I think this Truck Series right now is about as healthy and about providing as good a competition as we've really ever seen it, and what an addition it is to the whole landscape of NASCAR.
It is. It's such a great training tool because so many drivers have come through the Craftsman Truck Series throughout its history, and went on to go to bigger and better things. I mean, I think about William Byron, for example, Bubba Wallace. I mean, the drivers that have come through, Austin Dillon. He just keeps going down a long list of the talent that has gotten their feet wet in the Truck Series. And every now and then you'll see people drop back into the Truck Series even after they've made it big, like a Kyle Busch, for example, or Ross Chastain. The reason why they come back is because it's a fun series, but they run hard, short races, don't leave a lot of time for strategy. It's really just get up on the wheel and go. And you talk about the competitiveness of the series. Spencer's run here in this series at 4 years, 5 years now. And each year it gets tougher and tougher. And it's hard to believe that, but to run in the top 20 is such a challenge because we got so many good teams. When you think about Tricon, Nice Motorsports, for example, even with what we got going on here, we keep elevating our stuff. I mean, everybody is so tough week in and week out, and you got to bring your A game. We got great racetracks to go to. Just finished up in Nashville. All three series race there. And then we're getting ready to go to Pocono, just like the Cup Series will be doing, and right on into IRP, which is not at the big track, but we'll be racing on one of the more historical and fun racetracks on the circuit. I mean, so we're I guess you'd say we're doing what we do, but I swear we're putting on a good show and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Man, got to agree with you there. Hey, listen, Jeff, I love you like a brother, man. The times we had together are absolutely priceless. Can't tell you how much I've enjoyed them, and can't tell you how much we appreciate you jumping on with us today. And best of luck to you and Spencer, man. Keep going and keep digging. Go get them, brother.
Well, we appreciate that, John. And, the thing is, again, you and I, we know what we have between the two of us. I mean, we got pictures and secrets that nobody else will ever hear about. But at the same time, you've been a very loyal and helpful guy because, again, I didn't know as much about television as Johnny TV does. And you helped me out, and, we bonded in a lot of different ways. And good well, when the phone rings and you need something, I'll come and run it.
And back at you, brother. Jeff, thank you.
Okay, bud.
Talk soon.
All right.
Time now to end the program with Ward Burton Said It. It was at the Daytona 500 many years ago when there was a group of triplets, very attractive young ladies, that had appeared in a certain gentleman's magazine that shall go unnamed. They were walking around Victory Lane in Daytona and causing quite a stir, to which Ward Burton turned and said, "Hey, JR, you seen them Dom twins? There's 3 of them." And Ward Burton said it. Thanks for joining us, everybody, for this edition of Lights Out with Johnny Roberts. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.